All right, our second speaker is our very own Randy Goldstein. So, Randy, come on up, and we're looking forward to your tall tales. Randy Goldstein.
My fellow Toastmasters and guests, a few months ago, back in early May, my wife and I were sleeping, and we were awoken by a sound of this crashing noise. And it was so loud and so booming that I thought something in our living room had fallen over, like our TV or something like that. I ran downstairs, I didn't see anything, and I heard people screaming outside, and I looked out, and we have one of those large masonry signs out on the corner of our neighborhood. I'm sure you've seen them before. And it was half crumbled, it was destroyed. And I ran outside, and apparently there were a couple of young ladies who were drunk and ran into it and destroyed it. And they were crying, they were just walking around in a haze. And I talked to the one, and I said, "Can I get you any help?" And she screamed, "No, just leave me alone." And I called 911, and I got them some paramedics. They didn't want any help from the paramedics. They were real tough to deal with. Finally, the police came and took them away, and I went back to bed, very upset because I knew the whole neighborhood was going to be on me to get this sign fixed because it was on our yard. That's our property. So the next evening, I go out there, and a couple of the neighbors have said, we got to get this cleaned up. It looks like it's a mess. So I went out by the rubble, and big pieces of concrete and stone and things like that, and I'm leaning over, and I'm moving things around, and I'm clearing it out, and I noticed a tiny little, it was evening by this point, it was like 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, like a little pinhole of light coming out of the bottom of where the rubble was, and I thought, that's a little strange. So I kept clearing stuff away, and I had to really balance myself to move this stuff, and the light got brighter and brighter, and it almost looked like there was a corridor down there, and I thought, it's probably like an area for BGE because the gas lines and the power come in through there. I thought, I'll go down and check it out and see what it is. So I cleared out enough room, and I must have tripped because I fell into this chute that was like a water slide at an amusement park. It went boom, 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 and I'm flying through this thing, and I get dumped out, and my arm breaks. I felt a snap, and I started screaming, and then I heard footsteps, and someone apparently came and took me and bandaged me up, and while they're bandaging me up, a man comes up to me, walks up, and he's got a big booming voice, and he said, "Are you Randy?" And I said, "Yes." "Who are you?" He said, "I'm the President of the United States." I said, "No, you're not." And the guy must have been huge. His voice was like, 2 Barry Whites. He sounded gigantic. And he said, "Well, I'm the president in case there's ever a nuclear assault on the United States." I said, "Oh, this is the shadow government I've heard so much about, the underground government, right?" He said, "Absolutely." I said, "Let me ask you something. Are you guys Democrats or Republicans?" He said, "Neither. We're military." And he was very stern. And he's showing me around. And he says, "You see these vast expanses of land back here that are lit up behind these giant glass sheets?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Behind every one of them are the original races of the planet Earth." I said, "Original races? There's only like 4 or 5 of them, right?" He said, "There were 7 original races. They were the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet people." I said, "That's the colors of the rainbow." He said, "Those are the colors of the original people." And I said, "Well, how did we get to where we are now, where we only have a few?" He said, "Well, some combined and form other races. Some were conquered. You're an American, so you know what happened to the red people. Others just died off, and now you have what you have. But in case there's ever a nuclear assault, or a world war, or something from outer space that causes everyone to die on the Earth, we will start anew." I said, "That is brilliant. How do you have these people here?" And he said, "This has been going on for centuries. Centuries and centuries and millennia. It happens over and over again." I said, "Why are you telling me this? Isn't this highly classified information?" He said, "Don't worry about that." I said, "Are you going to kill me?" He said, "No, we have ways around this." So we continue walking, and he's telling me all these things. He likes the sound of his own voice. He talks a lot. And then I said, that woman over there, she looks exactly like one of the drivers who hit the sign on my front yard. And the woman's voice said to me, Randy, it was me. I need you to come over here for a second. So the shadow president walked me over to her. And she said, we knew you would clear out the rubble and you would go through and fall through the sign. We set that up for you because you were born with an extreme amount of curiosity and the right amount of perseverance. I said, what? And she said, and that is exactly what we need. And I said, ah! And she said, I'm just going to take a little bit of blood from you. And I said, okay. And after that was done, I was walked back to a corridor and put in a vehicle that drove for, had to have been an hour at least. We came out, and this woman said, look directly at me, you're going to hear a loud click. And after that happened, I remembered I was in an ambulance stepping off right at my garage. They had dropped me off at my garage. They dropped me off and they left, and I had a cast around my arm and I had a Band-Aid right by one of my main veins here. Now the reason that I don't remember seeing any of this was because they took away my memory with that flash. Just like you see in that movie Men in Black. I'm guessing that's what it was. All I know is there was a click. The only reason that I know this story at all was because when I was digging away the rubble, I was making voice notes for the insurance company with my BlackBerry. And when I put it back in my holster to dig deeper, and I fell, it stayed on, and it recorded the whole conversation. So, in the event of nuclear assault, that is what's going to happen. Life will start over because it's all right below us. Fellow Toastmasters.